the heart of South Africa's great Karoo, multi-award-winning film AITSA returns home to its roots for a series of intimate screenings. Now, this captivating film challenges the boundaries of science and spirituality as indigenous knowledge systems intersect with modern technology in the struggle to preserve humanity's connection to the natural world. To tell us more on this film, we joined virtually by the director and producer of the film, Dane Dodds. A very good morning to you, Dane. Thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Morning, Simpiwe. Good morning to yourself and to all your viewers.
It's a great pleasure having you join us this morning. What's so captivating about this film is that, it brings together ancient spiritual knowledge and cutting-edge science. So what was the initial motivation that is for telling the story in the Great Karoo?
Right, so I'm born and raised in the Karoo, and essentially observed that there were these two really interesting parallels happening on the homeland called the Karoo, which is essentially an area of the Great Karoo, where you could, if you believe that this is perhaps the place where we as humans started to be able to perceive ourselves, a really interesting place for us as humans. And you could argue that a huge quantum leap happened there for us. And now on the exact same land, they're building the biggest science project in the world, which will perhaps again we will perhaps again have some kind of quantum leap, especially from a Western perspective.
Yeah. And I'm sure you will agree with me that telling a story in a particular way and then reducing that particular story in a production are two different worlds. So how then did you balance the need for historical accuracy with the demands of storytelling?
Right, so in general, I mean, this is my first feature-length production or film, and what we wanted to do was try and veer away from the more traditional storytelling style, because it's very difficult to tell this kind of a story. Very sensitive, again, for me, as my position in a post-colonial context as a white man, to be telling a story about indigenous knowledge systems and comparing things. And so what we looked to was also storytelling methods that would have been used, or oral history that was used, and tried to do more circular narratives inspired by the and so we spent 7 years making the film. We went very deep into all the themes and topics, because you're essentially dealing with people or knowledge that is sensitive for different reasons, either because it's been studied for a lifetime to achieve that level of knowledge, or because it's been passed on through generations and you're interpreting it from a different worldview. So a lot of sensitivity and trying to juxtapose things. And what we did in the film is try and put everyone on the same level. So you have professors and on the streets.
And Dane, in that 7-year production, did you at all encounter any unexpected challenges or surprises while filming in such remote locations? And in as much as you were telling a story, but the bigger goal, of course, was to find meaning in the infinite, in the infinite darkness surrounding us all. Did you find that meaning?
I think to answer your first question, what was really interesting was how open people were towards discussing these major existential questions. And I think that what connects us all is this desire to understand our place in the universe, or the reason for everything around us. So that was quite a pleasant surprise, that people were very keen to speak to us and to, and so I think, for me personally, it was made throughout the beginning of my 20s, and there's a lot of searching for your own perception of reality and so on in that space. And I think that what's really important, I will say, to do is for us to try and not form sort of definitive ideas of what is and what isn't, and rather be a little bit more open and listen to each other. Yeah.
And what's your understanding of the significance of the SKA telescope's presence in the Karoo?
It's massive. I mean, you have a multinational science project that's taking place in an area that is poverty-stricken. So the social responsibility there is massive, and they do a lot to try and, they have bursaries, they do lots of projects, they try and encourage developments in the local economy and so on. But that challenge is massive for them. And beyond that, I mean, it's the biggest science project in the world, and they have different phases, and the kind of data and knowledge that's going to be coming out of that telescope, which is it's placed across the whole globe.
Yeah.
But the main center of it, and where all the data is gathered, is in the Karoo, close to a town, Naarden. And so it's massive for South Africa, but it really highlights the sort of divide between wealth and knowledge, and how this gap is really problematic in South Africa.
Yeah. And how have the locals received the film? I mean, what kind of feedback did you receive from the rural communities during the screenings, and how did that sort of shape your understanding of the film's message?
Right. So, like, from the beginning, when we made the film, we knew that it would be important to take it back to the Karoo, and to really, take it back to the different communities that partook in the creation of the film. That wouldn't necessarily have access to cinemas. So we did a trip through the country called the AITSA Outreach, and we used the solar-powered cinema, mobile cinema from Sunshine Cinema. And we were therefore able to go wherever we needed to go and set up and have a sort of pretty substantial cinema experience.
Yeah.
And the response from the communities was really overwhelming. Every location we went to, I think 8 different locations, and did 11 screenings. And the responses were, I mean, they were really moving, because people were extremely grateful for us having come back with the film. I think there was also a sense of feeling heard and seen from a people that are really marginalized and often don't have a platform to express their concerns and their voice. And so I think there was a feeling of mutual respect, and people's perceptions of the way that the stories were represented in the film were really, there was a lot of affirmation in that experience.
Yeah. And just looking at the visuals in the AITSA film, I mean, they are truly breathtaking. Can you describe your approach to cinematography and just how the Karoo landscape influenced your choices?
Thank you. It's it was worked with a cinematographer called Adrian Delaray, and then myself. We shot the film because it was my first production, and Medicine, our company's first production. It was done on a shoestring budget, and we shot it on many different cameras over the course of these 7 years. And so, we were obviously inspired by the Karoo's landscape in general in the film. There's this thing called Karoo Zen, and the stillness is actually what has made this big science project possible in the Karoo. And so we really wanted to embrace that in the way that we shot the film. So a lot of long, lingering shots. Anyone that lives in the Karoo knows that, there's a lot of stillness and space for thinking. And I think that also made the Karoo an interesting space for this film, because I think it's very difficult to be an atheist or to live in the Karoo and to not wonder about the meaning of the cosmos and reality. The stars are so close to you. So that sort of inspired the visuals in the film.
All right, really captivating production. Thank you so much for joining us. And what I love about this film is that, it sort of, it tells the different parallel stories observed there. And it is an intersection of science and faith and spirit, exploring deep into time and space. Great chatting to you, Dane.
And I mentioned that the film is now going live, so you can now rent it on our website.
Oh, okay.
Which is AITSA as of right now.
Amazing, great stuff. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that information. That was the director and producer of the film, Dane Dodds, talking to us about multi-award-winning film AITSA, which offers a glimpse into the heart of the great Karoo, capturing not only its stunning landscapes, but also the complexities of its history and culture.